Ladies and gentlemen, imagine waking up one morning and realizing that nothing in your life has to stay the same, that every limitation, every fear, every excuse that has held you back can be shattered with a single decision. That moment, that very instant, is the moment your life transforms. Today, I want to talk to you about the day you decide to change everything. Because it's not tomorrow, it's not next week, it's right now. The choice to take control of your destiny, to rewrite your story, and to live a life filled with passion, purpose, and unstoppable momentum begins the moment you say enough is enough. Everything in your life begins with a decision. Not a wish, not a hope, not a plan, a decision. It is the day you choose to take full responsibility for your life that you unleash the energy to move mountains. Decisions are the engine of change. If you keep waiting for the perfect conditions, you will wait forever. The people who transform their lives don't wait. They decide. They say, I am done being held back. I am done playing small. Today I choose me. Change never happens where you feel safe. Your comfort zone is a prison disguised as peace. To truly change everything, you must step into the unknown. Growth, opportunity, and extraordinary results live outside the familiar. It's scary, yes, but fear is the signal that you're about to grow. Every great success in history came from someone willing to risk discomfort. To reach greatness, a decision without action is just a dream. The day you decide to change everything, you must commit to massive, relentless action. It's not enough to think about change. You have to act. Start now. Take one bold step, then another and another. Momentum is built through movement. Action turns dreams into reality, and small, consistent steps compound into extraordinary results. You cannot achieve what you are not willing to become. Transformation isn't about what you do. It's about who you become. The day you decide to change everything, you must become the person who achieves those dreams. Every habit, every belief, every thought must align with the identity of the person you are becoming. Who you are today created your results. Who you choose to become will create your future. Change is messy. You will stumble. You will fall. And yes, you will fail. But failure is not the enemy. It's the teacher. Every setback is a lesson. Every obstacle is an opportunity to grow stronger. The day you decide to change everything, you must embrace failure as feedback, not defeat. Those who succeed are not the ones who never fail. They are the ones who refuse to let failure stop them. Excuses are the chains that keep you stuck. The day you decide to change everything, you must refuse to blame, refuse to rationalize, and refuse to let circumstance dictate your destiny. Take 100% responsibility for your life, your choices, and your results. Once you do, nothing can hold you back. You become unstoppable, unshackable, and fully alive. Ladies and gentlemen, the day you decide to change everything is not a day on the calendar. It's a day in your heart, a day in your mind, a day you take ownership and say, I am done living a life that is anything less than extraordinary. That day, that moment is today. The choice is yours, and it will define every tomorrow that follows. The power of decision is the single most important force in shaping the trajectory of your life. Every achievement, every breakthrough, every transformation begins with a decision, a conscious, deliberate choice to act in alignment with your highest vision of yourself. Most people underestimate the magnitude of this truth because they confuse thinking about change with actually deciding to change. A thought is just a fleeting moment in the mind. A wish is just a hope without teeth. But a decision is a commitment that sets everything into motion. When you make a decision, you are no longer a passive participant in life. You step into the driver's seat and take control of your destiny. This is why every successful person, every innovator, every leader, every individual who has ever transformed their life can trace it back to a single decisive moment when they refused to settle for less, when they said, I am done being limited by fear, doubt, or circumstance. The act of deciding creates momentum. Until you decide, your mind and energy remain scattered, caught in indecision, procrastination, and excuses. Decision is what converts ideas into action, dreams into reality, and potential into results. It is not the circumstances around you that determine your success. It is the decisions you make in spite of them. Often people wait for the perfect conditions, for the right time, for some magical alignment of stars, but the truth is that conditions will never be perfect. Life is messy, unpredictable, and full of challenges. Waiting for external validation or ideal timing keeps people trapped in a cycle of inaction. The moment you make a decision, however, you break free from that cycle. A decision is a declaration to the universe, a statement that you are taking responsibility for your life. It shifts your mindset from victimhood to empowerment, from passivity to action, and with that shift, your energy changes, your focus sharpens, and doors begin to open that were invisible when you were undecided. But decision is more than just an initial thought or moment of inspiration. True decisions are followed by commitment and persistence. They are reinforced by your willingness to take consistent, focused action to push through fear, resistance, and doubt. When you decide, you create clarity in your mind. You no longer have conflicting desires that pull you in different directions. You align your thoughts, your emotions, and your behaviors toward a singular outcome. And this alignment is what produces extraordinary results because energy flows where attention goes. The power of decision also lies in its ability to overcome fear. Fear exists in the gap between knowing what you want and actually committing to it. It whispers excuses, doubts, and what ifs. but a decision cuts through fear like a knife. The moment you decide, fear loses its grip because you are no longer negotiating with yourself. You are saying, this is my path and I will follow it no matter what. Making a decision is not always easy. It often requires courage, clarity, and a willingness to face uncertainty. But the moment you embrace it, your life begins to shift. Decisions are not one-time events. They are repeated acts that reinforce your identity and your commitment to growth. Every decision, no matter how small, compounds over time. Choosing to show up, to persist, to learn, to act consistently builds momentum and shapes your destiny in ways that are often invisible in the short term, but undeniable in the long term. Ultimately, the power of decision is the gateway to personal freedom, growth, and transformation. It is the spark that ignites action, the force that drives change, and the foundation upon which every meaningful achievement is built. Without decision, life is reactive, drifting, and subject to circumstances. With decision, life becomes intentional, purposeful, and empowered. When you understand this, you realize that you do not need permission, luck, or external conditions to transform your life. All you need is the courage to decide, the commitment to follow through, and the unwavering belief that your choice has the power to change everything. Breaking free from your comfort zone is one of the most critical steps in transforming your life because true growth, opportunity, and extraordinary results exist beyond the familiar. The comfort zone is a psychological space where everything feels safe, predictable, and controlled, but it is also a space where potential goes to die. Staying in this zone creates the illusion of security, yet in reality, it is a trap that prevents you from achieving your highest self. Most people spend years, even decades, living within these self-imposed boundaries, convincing themselves that stability and routine are enough, when in fact they are slowly sacrificing their dreams, creativity, and potential. Change requires discomfort because the moment you step into uncharted territory, you encounter resistance, uncertainty, and fear. These feelings are not signs that you should stop. They are signals that you are moving in the direction of growth. The unknown challenges you to stretch, to adapt, and to discover capabilities you didn't know you had. Every innovation, every personal achievement, every story of transformation starts with someone daring to leave the familiar behind. The human brain craves safety and habit, which is why most people resist stepping into discomfort. But the truth is that comfort is a slow death for ambition. Growth is never comfortable. Learning a new skill, starting a new career, building a new relationship, or breaking old habits all come with uncertainty, mistakes, and setbacks. If you are unwilling to face discomfort, you are unwilling to face progress. Growth comes when you push past the fear of failure, past the judgment of others, past the internal voice that says, I can't. Each time you stretch yourself beyond the familiar, you build confidence, resilience, and competence. You prove to yourself that you are capable of more than you imagined, and that momentum compounds over time. It is important to understand that discomfort is temporary, but the rewards of stepping outside your comfort zone are lasting. Every time you challenge yourself, you expand your sense of what is possible, you gain new perspectives, and you develop the courage to take even bigger steps. Fear and discomfort are not obstacles, they are indicators of progress. The comfort zone is safe, but it is a cage, and the key to escaping it is action. Small steps toward the unknown are more powerful than waiting for motivation to appear. Action reduces fear, builds experience, and trains your mind and body to adapt to challenges. It is the repeated willingness to step outside familiar boundaries that creates breakthroughs in life, changing opportunities. This process is also deeply personal because it forces you to confront limiting beliefs about who you are and what you can achieve. Every challenge you face outside your comfort zone rewrites your internal narrative, replacing doubt and hesitation with courage and capability. You begin to see yourself as someone who can handle uncertainty, solve problems, and thrive under pressure. Over time, this mindset becomes a foundation for all future success. People who embrace discomfort and challenge are the ones who create remarkable lives, not because they are fearless, but because they refuse to be constrained by safety and familiarity. They understand that risk and growth are inseparable and that comfort is the enemy of achievement. When you commit to breaking free from your comfort zone, you stop living a life of passive waiting and start creating a life of intentional action, bold moves, and unstoppable momentum. Every discomfort faced is a step toward freedom, mastery, and extraordinary achievement, and the more you embrace it, the more empowered you become to pursue your dreams without hesitation or limitation. Taking massive action is the bridge between dreams and reality, the decisive force that separates those who talk about change from those who actually transform their lives. Too often, people make plans, visualize success, and feel motivated, yet they fail to take the concrete steps required to create results. Motivation alone is fleeting. Inspiration can energize you for a moment, but it is action that compounds into momentum and ultimately produces tangible outcomes. Massive action is not about busywork or random efforts. It is about focused, deliberate, and relentless movement toward your goal. It is the willingness to go beyond minimal effort, to push past comfort and resistance, and to consistently do what most people will not. The people who achieve extraordinary results understand that action is the great equalizer. It doesn't matter where you start. What matters is what you do consistently once you begin. Massive action transforms fear into confidence because every step taken forward builds proof that you are capable, that progress is possible, and that obstacles can be overcome. Often, people wait for clarity or perfection before acting, but the truth is that clarity comes through action. You do not need all the answers to start. You need the courage to start and the discipline to continue. Each action, no matter how small, generates feedback, learning, and refinement, which accelerates growth and sharpens your strategy. Massive action is also about commitment. It is not a one-time surge of energy, but a persistent, unwavering dedication to doing whatever it takes to achieve your vision. You push through fatigue, distractions, self-doubt, and even temporary failures because you understand that consistency is the multiplier of results. Waiting for motivation to strike or for circumstances to align will keep you stagnant, but taking decisive action breaks inertia and sets a chain reaction in motion. Every action fuels momentum, and momentum fuels more action, creating a cycle that propels you forward faster than you imagined possible. Massive action requires courage because it often involves risk, uncertainty, and the possibility of failure. But it is precisely by stepping into these risks that opportunities, breakthroughs, and growth emerge. Action is not just movement. It is the language of commitment, the declaration that you are willing to do what most people are unwilling to do. When you take massive action, you stop being a passive observer in your own life and start becoming the architect of your destiny. This approach forces clarity because it requires you to focus on what truly matters to eliminate distractions, excuses, and low-impact behaviors. Action converts knowledge into skill, intention into results, and dreams into tangible achievements. It is also an amplifier of belief. The more you act, the more your confidence grows because action provides proof of capability. Doubt diminishes with each step, and momentum builds an unstoppable force that carries you past obstacles and challenges that once seemed insurmountable. Massive action is a mindset as much as it is behavior. It requires a shift from thinking in terms of possibility to thinking in terms of execution, from hoping to doing, from planning to producing. It is not reckless impulsiveness, but disciplined, bold, and determined effort aimed at results. It is the willingness to work harder, smarter, and more persistently than anyone else. Every success story is built on massive action because it is through doing, not just dreaming, that transformation occurs. Dreams inspire, knowledge informs, and motivation excites, but action delivers. The day you decide to take massive action, you are signaling to yourself and the universe that you are committed to results, willing to endure the discomfort of growth, and determined to turn your vision into reality. By consistently taking massive action, you harness momentum, overcome fear, build resilience, and create a life that reflects your highest potential and deepest desires. Changing your identity is one of the most profound steps you can take to transform your life because the results you achieve are a direct reflection of who you believe you are. Every action you take, every habit you form, and every goal you reach is rooted in your identity, your sense of self, and the beliefs that define what is possible for you. If you continue to see yourself as someone limited, unworthy, or incapable, then no amount of knowledge, motivation, or strategy will create lasting change. The first step in transformation is understanding that change is not primarily about behavior, it is about identity. When you change who you believe you are, your behaviors naturally follow. This is why so many people fail to sustain progress despite effort and intention. They attempt to act in ways that are inconsistent with their current self-image. The day you decide to change everything, you must also decide to become the person capable of the life you desire. Identity change begins with self-awareness. You must examine your current beliefs, patterns, and internal narratives to see which ones are supporting you and which ones are holding you back. Most limitations are self-imposed through repeated stories you tell yourself. I'm not good enough. I can't succeed. I don't deserve happiness. These stories are not truths. They are beliefs that have been reinforced over time. The second step is deliberately replacing these limiting beliefs with empowering ones that align with the person you want to become. This requires repetition, reinforcement, and emotional intensity because identity is wired deeply into the subconscious mind. You don't just think your way into a new identity, you feel your way into it through actions, experiences, and consistent choices. Habits are the physical expression of identity. Every habit you maintain is a reflection of the person you currently believe yourself to be. If you want to change your results, you must first change the type of person who produces those results. This means adopting habits, routines, and behaviors that are congruent with your desired identity, even if they feel unfamiliar or uncomfortable at first. Over time, these behaviors reshape your self-perception, making the new identity feel natural and automatic. Another critical aspect of identity change is the company you keep. Your environment and the people you interact with reinforce who you believe you are. Surrounding yourself with individuals who embody the traits, values, and standards you aspire to adopt accelerates your transformation because it provides both inspiration and accountability. When you consistently engage with people who challenge you, support you, and model the behaviors you want to emulate, your identity shifts in response to that influence. Mindset plays a pivotal role in this process. You must commit to seeing yourself as a capable, resourceful, and evolving individual. Every thought, word, and action must reinforce that vision. When setbacks occur, as they inevitably will, maintaining this identity-based perspective allows you to persevere instead of reverting to old patterns. Emotional alignment is equally important because change that is purely intellectual rarely lasts. You must cultivate a strong emotional connection to your desired identity. Feeling the excitement, confidence, and empowerment of the person you are becoming. This emotional resonance accelerates the integration of new beliefs and behaviors. Ultimately, changing your identity is about becoming the person whose actions, habits, and mindset naturally produce the outcomes you desire. It is about stepping into a new self concept that is consistent with your highest potential. This transformation is not instantaneous. It requires focus, repetition, and a willingness to act in ways that may feel foreign at first. But each deliberate choice, each consistent action, and each shift in belief strengthens your new identity, reinforcing the reality that who you are is not fixed, but something you create and evolve over time. When you fully embrace this concept, you realize that your results are a reflection of who you are, and by becoming the person capable of extraordinary achievement, you unlock a life that was previously impossible. Embracing failure as feedback is one of the most powerful mindsets you can adopt if you want to truly change your life, because it transforms obstacles into stepping stones and setbacks into lessons. Most people fear failure, avoid it at all costs, and let it define their self-worth. But failure is not the enemy. It is a signal, a guide, and a teacher. Every successful person has failed repeatedly, sometimes in spectacular ways, yet what separates those who succeed from those who give up is not the absence of failure, but the response to it. When you experience failure, your initial reaction may be frustration, disappointment, or self-doubt, but if you shift your perspective and treat failure as feedback, it becomes a tool for growth. Feedback is information, and information is power. Each failure reveals what doesn't work, what needs adjustment, and what you must do differently to move closer to your goal. By analyzing failure, you gain clarity, insight, and understanding that cannot be obtained through success alone. Fear of failure keeps people stuck in mediocrity because it prevents experimentation, risk-taking, and learning. Those who achieve extraordinary results do not avoid failure. They embrace it as an essential part of the process. The process of transformation involves trial, error, and course correction. Every time you attempt something new, you open yourself up to mistakes, missteps, and disappointments. But each of these experiences is an opportunity to gather critical feedback and refine your approach. The key is not to interpret failure as a reflection of your worth or ability, but as data that informs your next move. Emotional resilience is developed through this mindset because failure is no longer a threat. It is a tool. When you stop fearing failure, you free yourself to take bold action, to innovate, and to push boundaries. You begin to understand that temporary setbacks are not permanent defeats, and that every misstep brings you closer to mastery. This perspective also cultivates perseverance because success is rarely linear. The road to achievement is filled with obstacles, unexpected challenges, and repeated failures. By embracing failure as feedback, you learn to persist, adapt, and maintain momentum even when results are not immediate. It is through this persistence that breakthroughs occur, as consistent effort compounded with learning transforms potential into accomplishment. Additionally, viewing failure as feedback encourages experimentation and creativity. When you know that mistakes are part of the process, you are willing to try unconventional approaches, take calculated risks, and think outside the box. Innovation and progress are born from the willingness to fail forward, to learn quickly, and to iterate until results are achieved. This mindset also strengthens confidence and self-efficacy because each failure, when reframed as feedback, becomes evidence of growth rather than evidence of inadequacy. You begin to see yourself as someone capable of overcoming challenges, learning from mistakes, and achieving goals despite setbacks. It shifts your identity from a victim of circumstances to an empowered problem solver who controls the outcome through response adaptation and determination. Failure as feedback also fosters humility and continuous learning. It reminds you that mastery is a journey, not a destination, and that growth requires openness to new information, constructive criticism, and adjustment of strategies. No one becomes extraordinary without encountering and learning from repeated failures. Every failure, when processed with intention and reflection, adds to your knowledge, strengthens your character, and sharpens your focus. By embracing this mindset, you transform fear into fuel, mistakes into lessons, and setbacks into springboards for greater achievement, creating a life that is resilient, adaptable, and unstoppable. Committing to a life without excuses is one of the most transformative decisions you can make because it shifts your focus from blaming external circumstances to taking full responsibility for your outcomes. Most people unconsciously live in a cycle of rationalization, constantly explaining why they cannot achieve their goals, why success is delayed, or why life has not gone the way they envisioned. These excuses may sound reasonable: lack of time, resources, talent, opportunity, or support, but the truth is that they are self-imposed limitations that prevent growth and achievement. When you commit to a life without excuses, you remove the safety net that allows inaction, and you embrace the truth that your results are determined by your choices, your mindset, and your consistent effort. This commitment begins with an internal declaration: you are no longer willing to let circumstances, other people, or past experiences dictate your potential. You take ownership of your decisions, your habits, and the energy you bring to every moment. Excuses are a form of denial. They obscure reality and give temporary comfort, but they also ensure stagnation. Breaking free from excuses requires courage because it forces you to confront your fears, limitations, and patterns of avoidance. It demands honesty, self-reflection, and the willingness to acknowledge that the power to change your life has always been within you, even if it was unused. By living without excuses, You gain clarity and control over your life. Instead of wasting energy on complaints or blame, you channel your focus into solutions, action, and progress. This mindset shifts you from being a passive observer of life to an active creator of your destiny. Every decision becomes intentional, every action purposeful, and every setback an opportunity to learn and adjust. Excuses are often rooted in fear, fear of failure, fear of judgment, or fear of the unknown. When you remove excuses, you confront fear directly. You stop allowing it to dictate your behavior, and you begin to act despite it. This courage is not reckless impulsiveness. It is deliberate action grounded in the understanding that discomfort, challenge, and risk are part of growth. Living without excuses also cultivates discipline because excuses are often a way to avoid effort, delay responsibility, or rationalize inconsistency. By eliminating them, you commit to consistent, focused action that aligns with your goals. Discipline emerges naturally when you no longer have the option to justify inaction or mediocrity. It also strengthens resilience because in a life without excuses, setbacks are not reasons to quit. They are signals to adapt, persist, and find new strategies. Every obstacle becomes an opportunity to reinforce your commitment and demonstrate your determination. This mindset transforms your identity because the way you perceive yourself changes. You begin to see yourself as capable, responsible, and empowered rather than as a victim of circumstances. Your sense of self-worth becomes tied to action and integrity rather than external validation or justification. Surrounding yourself with a life without excuses also influences your environment. You attract people, opportunities, and situations that support accountability, growth, and achievement. And you begin to model this mindset for others, creating a ripple effect of responsibility and empowerment. Committing to a life without excuses ultimately liberates you from the chains of limitation and victimhood. It gives you ownership over your choices, power over your direction, and clarity in your vision. By rejecting excuses, you focus entirely on solutions, actions, and possibilities, and in doing so, you align your life with purpose, discipline, and extraordinary achievement. It is the commitment to accept full responsibility for your life that unlocks the freedom, confidence, and momentum needed to reach your highest potential and to create a reality that is fully aligned with your vision and desires.